Good evening, everyone. My name is Rahul, and I hope that I am audible to everyone. Visible नहीं है तो भी चलेगा. Audible important है. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Great. एक request रहेगी. If you can use the chat box, that will be really nice because manage करना आसान हो जाता है. The chat box on. And again, if you have questions, feel free to write it in the chat box. Towards the end, again, we can sit down and have a chat for as long as you want. That is not a problem. But during the presentation, if you have a doubt, feel free to write in the chat box. All right. थोड़ा इंटरेक्टिव रखेंगे. इंटरेक्टिव से मेरा मतलब है अगर आप बोलते रहेंगे तो अच्छा रहेगा. Also, anyone here has a problem with the language? हिंदी का किसी को इशू है, इंग्लिश का किसी को इशू है?
No, sir.
Great, that is excellent. So the idea of today's webinar is to understand what cracking a cat means. A couple of things that I think I would be able to cover by the end of the presentation is, first of all, trying to settle who cracks cat, who are these profiles, or what are the traits that a student would have typically who've done well in cat. The second question is, when should I prepare? You would be in different parts of your life right now. Some of you might be in college, some of you might be working. So the question always remains is, what is the right time to start? And then once you've started, what is the best strategy for you, right? Once that cycle starts, the question comes up to whether you can actually crack cat or not, whether you can make it to one of the top IIMs or not, right? Practically, the answers are very, very simple for all of these questions. Who cracks cat? People like us. When should you start? The moment you know that you are going to write cat, that is a good time to start. What is the best strategy? Well, you have to prepare and work hard. Can I do it? Again, this is a very important question. The premise on which you're sitting here, अगर आप ये PPT attend कर रहे हो, अगर आप CAT के लिए सोच रहे हो, it has to start from the point where you say, yes, I can do it. Only then will it happen, right? So just so that we are all on the same page regarding CAT, I would go with the A for apples and the B for balls. Just a small introduction of what CAT is all about. What are the different parts of the exam? How do you actually make it to the top college? Very briefly. As far as CAT is concerned, it is the common admission test. It is the online entrance test, or the biggest entrance test for MBA programs in India. More than 2 lakh aspirants appear for this examination. Last year, the number was almost 2.5 lakhs. And for all the IIMs, it is a prerequisite. Other than the IIMs, there are hundreds of colleges which will accept the CAT score for their final admission. Now, when I say CAT, or CAT preparation, I will keep using that term, but you have to understand, when we say CAT preparation, we are talking about majorly all the exams that are conducted in the country for MBA admissions, because CAT is the biggest one. CAT probably is a sort of a benchmark exam where if you've prepared for CAT, you would be able to target multiple examinations. Therefore, the common term that I will use is CAT. But in your head, it should read multiple MBA entrances. Okay. Now, what makes CAT? CAT has 3 sections very, very clearly. One is the verbal ability section, which is visual reasoning, verbal ability and reading comprehension. The second is logical reasoning and data interpretation. The third is quantitative aptitude. CAT has changed form over the years. Before the pandemic, it used to be a 3-hour paper in the format that it is today. But in the year the pandemic hit, all the exams had been reduced in time because students could not be kept in a room for 3 hours. Multiple centers were required, as every center had fewer students. Therefore, from that year onwards, CAT was reduced to a 2-hour examination. All right. It happens in 3 slots in a day. So on a Sunday, the last Sunday of November, you will have the CAT examination. There will be 3 slots which are assigned by the CAT itself. You cannot choose the slot. Yes, it is a computer-based examination. So you go to a center where you give the examination, and the total duration is 2 hours. Now, 2 hours is 120 minutes, divided by 3 is 40 minutes. So each of these sections is a 40-minute test. It happens in one go. And this is the order of the sections that is all pre-decided. So once you start the paper, you'll have the English section, then the logical reasoning section, then the quantitative aptitude section. What is the number of questions in this examination? It has varied over the last 3-4 years, because again, it is still taking shape in a way. But the number of questions in each section varies from 20 to 26. Once we get into The prep mode probably we will look at more detail about how the number of questions have evolved. But yes, LRDI section had 20 questions in one of the years. English section had 26 questions. So lagbhag utne question hote hain. So you get a gist of what it is. 40 minutes, 20 to 26 questions to answer. Right? Now, if you have thought of CAT or talked up to people about CAT, they would have started talking about percentile. Now, what is this percentile? Percentile means the percentage of students who scored less than you. Okay. So in an examination, if 60% students score less than me, 100 बच्चों ने paper दिया, 60 का marks मेरे से कम है, my percentile will be 60. So anyone who tops the examination scores a 100 percentile. The student who is last scores a 0 percentile. Right? Typically, if you're looking to get into one of the top colleges, you're looking at least at a 90 to 95 percentile for a general category student. All right. If you are a 90 percentiler, you can be almost certain of getting into an IIM, ideally the new ones. As you start reaching the 95 percentile range, you will start getting calls from older IIMs, and 99 sort of a percentile will ensure that you have calls from the older colleges as well. So my first target would be to get to a 90 percentile and then work upwards. Also, your profile has a bearing on what percentile you need to get a call. I will very briefly touch upon the profile as well. And towards the end, I will also talk about points that you can use to build your profile, right? Because your students are starting out. But to start off, I have a question that I need you to answer. अब देखो मैं बोल रहा हूँ that you need to get a 90 percentile in CAT to get a IIM, get to an IIM, right? My question is, what percentage of marks will ensure that you get a 90, 95 or a 99 percentile? कितने नंबर लाने पर आपको ये परसेंटाइल मिल जाएगा? If you know it, you know it. If you don't, it is a guess that you're making. So Rishi Joshi says 40, 50 out of 198. Very good. Now, anyone who is starting out, this is something that you're not very sure of, right? But if I look at the past 3-4 year data, मैं उसको दिखा भी दूंगा अभी आपको. Typically, the percentage of marks that you're looking at is this range. If you are scoring 33% marks, right? एक ballpark average लिया है मैंने. If you are scoring 33% marks, your score would be around 90 percentile. So अगर 200 marks का paper है, at around 60-66, you will reach a 90 percentile. If this score goes to about a 40-43%, you will reach a 95 percentile, and round about 50 to 52%, you will reach a 99 percentile. If you are looking at the CAT scores of 2022, you will be in for a pleasant shock, because these percentiles came at even a lower score. This year the paper was a little more difficult, and therefore the scores were even lower. So point ये है कि अगर आप 50% score करते हो CAT में, there is a very good chance you'll get a 99 percentile, and therefore top 10 IIM calls might happen for you. All right. So this for me always is a starting point. कि बस करना क्या है, at least ये तो करना ही है. For some reason, there is a yellow line on the screen, which is now gone. Great. Okay. So, what are the overall components that ensure that that are counted for you to get into a college? Number one is profile. Number two is the written score. So both of these have some amount of weightage, and based on this, you are called for the personality test, which is the interview or the GD in some cases. Based on these three, you get a final convert for the college. Written test की हम काफी बात करेंगे, but profile को मैं just very quickly touch करता हूँ. What are the points that get you marks in your profiles? Number one is your class 10th score. There is weightage for this. Class 12th score, your graduation stream, and the marks that you scored in your graduation. In some cases, your extracurricular activities, your gender, and your work experience. Broadly, these are the categories on which you are given marks by colleges for to give you an interview call. Ab dekho, if you look at these points, you will realize you cannot change your 10th marks. You cannot change your 12th marks. Graduation stream be decided hai. For people who have passed out graduation, you cannot change your graduation marks. For students who are in graduation, no matter how much we wish for, बदलते नहीं है. हर semester हम सोचते हैं इस बार बहुत मेहनत करेंगे, पर वो हो नहीं पाता, right? Extracurricular activities, again, most of the IIMs do not have an explicit score for this. A college like SPGen gives value to extracurricular activities. CAT clear करने के लिए gender भी change तो नहीं कराओगे. Work experience is something that might change. As you stand today, most of your profile is almost frozen. उसमें बहुत change नहीं होने वाला है, right? As far as marks are concerned, बहुत clarity है. Higher marks means higher weightage. In case of graduation stream, typically people who are engineers and close by will not get marks. People who are away from engineering will get marks. So the idea is to increase diversity. Similarly for gender, female candidates get marks, male candidates do not. और इसमें और कोई वो gender specify किया नहीं हुआ है, ठीक है? So profile अपनी set है. But the good thing is, even if your profile is good, nothing like it, a decent score will ensure that you get good calls, right? I'll show you some examples as well of students who have gotten calls. But every college has a different weightage to both the components of profile and the CAT score. There are colleges which give very high weightage for CAT score as well, right? So if you are someone who thinks या मेरी profile अच्छी नहीं है, मेरे 10th 12th में number अच्छे नहीं आए थे, graduation खराब हो गई है, does not really matter. There will be colleges which will give high weightage to CAT as well. For example, FMS, for example, MDI, for example, IIM Calcutta. These are colleges which have very high weightage for CAT. So even if you are someone who probably does not have a good profile, you can still make it to a top 10 college. You have one thing in hand, which is CAT. Work on that, or the written examination, work on that properly, and your dream will still happen, right? So now a picture of CAT is clear to you, hopefully. So you'll get on track for the presentation. Who cracks CAT? I am now going to show you some profiles of students, past students who've done well in CAT and gone to colleges. Typically students with good academics. So this is a student that we had who had a 10 CGPA, 12th 96.4, LSR student. So this is a DU, top DU college, graduation of 78%, obviously a female candidate. She had a CAT score of 91 percentile. Which college do you think she might have made it to? Any guesses? इस प्रोफाइल का किस कॉलेज में होगा? कोई भी guess? So she had multiple calls. She went into SPGen, one of the top 10 colleges. So people with good academics tend to go into good colleges. Good profiles. So I had an engineering student who was in 89-90% in 10th and 12th, graduation 73, core experience of 3 years. He had a 97.3 percentile, made it to IIM Kozhikode. So if you have a good profile, there are very good chances of you making to a good college. Toppers. There are special calls given to toppers. So I had a student who was in 95-96 in 10th and 12th. She was an NIFT topper, fashion technology, all India college topper for NIFT. Of course, a female, had a 92.4 percentile. And now is the bomb. She made it to IIM Ahmedabad. She had just one call, which was IIM Ahmedabad, and she converted it. So now this is something that you all know. If you're someone who's been academically good, if you are a topper, if you are academically good, if you have a good profile, you will make it to a good college. And therefore, Aryaman says, is there any chance for student with 75%? Dekho, Aryaman, I'll do a very simple calculation for you. If I ask you what is the probability of you making it to an IIM? I am an MBA, so मैं numbers बात करता हूँ. There are around 3,400 seats in the IIMs. If I take the top 20 odd colleges, there are about 6,000 seats. 2.5 lakh takers for CAT. What is the chance of conversion? What is the success percentage? 6,000 out of 2.5 lakh into 100 percentage. अपने से होगा नहीं है, तो मैं थोड़ा round about कर देता हूँ. 6,000 out of 2 lakh देखते हैं. 0 cancel, 0 cancel, 6 by 2, 3%. And therefore I say about 90 to 95% percentile will get you a call, because top 3-4% का selection हो जाता है in good colleges. All right. अब देखो, suppose you are a student and you are in graduation. Typically a class would have about 50 odd students. Now imagine your entire class sitting for the exam, CAT exam. 3% students will make it to the top colleges. 3% of 50 happens to be 3 upon 100 into 50, which is 1.5. So Aryaman, my question is, are you a rank 1 or 1.5? नहीं, क्योंकि जब तुम्हारी पूरी क्लास पेपर देगी, उनका सिलेक्शन हो जाएगा यार. लॉजिक तो यही बोलता है. तो मैं बताता हूँ मेरे साथ क्या हुआ था. When I was in class 10th, I got a grand score of 88%. Now my father for some reason thought मैं कुछ करूंगा लाइफ में, तो उन्होंने बेटा PCM ले लो, start studying PCM, work hard for 2 years, और फिर life set. Now my personal father थे. I thought, why would he lie? So I started preparing. I started non-medical in 11th and 12th. In 11th, I managed to fail in both physics and chemistry. Retest दिए. Class 12th, कुछ तरीके से physics pass हो रहा था. Chemistry was still a problem. In my first pre-board out of 70, I scored 21 marks. 23 passing. So I wrote the pre-board again. Second pre-board, I worked really hard, scored 23. My teacher told me, beta, इस बार passing है 25 because second pre-board. But ठीक है. So I studied even harder in the third pre-board. I scored 26 out of 70. My teacher told me this time the passing is 28 because third pre-board. That was my final attempt at school pre-boards. I went into the boards because my ma'am had actually given up. In my class 12th, I managed 82.2%. अब वो 2 साल खत्म हो गए, मेरी लाइफ सेट होने वाली थी. I went to an engineering college. First semester, I failed in engineering drawing. Second semester, I failed in maths 2. My grand score for engineering is 62.2%. When I wrote CAT, I had no work experience, and I am someone who's not very hardworking or intelligent, तो clear है. But I am not even participative. So मेरी extra curricular activity zero थी. Dance और drama मेरे से होता नहीं था, भागा मेरे से जाता नहीं था. Right? So this is my profile. I have my whatever mark sheets to prove this. So anyways, this is where I was during my graduation. At the end of the second year, I realized that what I'm doing is something that I will not be very good at. Engineering nahi ho paya. So I started evaluating options, and I realized that no matter what I do, there is a very good chance I'll have to write an aptitude test. Aptitude is maths, English, and logical reasoning. Because after graduation, if you look at bank PU, SSC, civil services prelims, e-litmus wala papers, any bank, any consulting, for MBA, you look at CAT, diploma scores are considered. If you look at CAT, GMAT, GRE, anything that you look at, you will have to write an aptitude test. So I started preparation for aptitude test after the second year, right? Now, since I'm not someone who can sit down for 8-10 hours at a stretch, I made a very simple plan that I'll sit for 1.5 hours on a daily basis. One thing that I had realized at that point was, एक बात बताओ, why do you go to school? Why do you go to school? Or why did you go to school? We go to school because 12th pass hona zaruri hai. Why did you do your graduation? Yes, absolutely. Why did you do your graduation? Most of us do our graduation because shadi.com पे लिखना पड़ता है. नहीं. Many of us actually have no idea that what was supposed to be learned in the graduation. But when I started preparing for aptitude tests, I realized, boss, this is something I'm doing for myself. So I have to do it like that. You know, I have to enjoy the process, because if you think about it, all of you have something that you're good at. Many of my friends also did that, right? But all of you are good at something. Why are you good at that thing? Because you enjoy it. Some of you would be good at sports, some of you would be good at maybe drawing, drama, dance, whatever. It would be because you enjoy doing it. And if you think about it, it's not as if you've not failed. If you're good at sport, I'm sure when you started, you were not doing well. You would have lost games. Kabhi wo stroke nahi lagta hoga, kabhi ball swing nahi hota hoga, sab hota hoga. But since you were enjoying it, you kept at it, and eventually you got good at it, right? वो clarity मेरे को हो गई थी. So I started preparation like that. When I say I prepared for 1.5 hours, I did that, but I did that on a daily basis. Since it is my story, I can say that I out of the 365 years, I probably did it for about 300 to 320 days on a stretch. Okay. Initially, I thought of appearing for the bank PU examination, but then eventually I realized probably management is something that I like, and therefore let's go for an IIM. Okay. Now with this profile, what do you think would have been my percentile in the first CAT attempt? Any guesses, or what is your best guess? In 90 to 85, 85 to 90, 97, above 80. Chalo, you guys seem to be very generous people, because शक्ल देख के लोग 60 से शुरू करते हैं, तो कोई बात नहीं. My first percentile was 99.99. I made it to IIM Ahmedabad. Since then, I've scored 100 percentile 3 times, 16, 20, 21. And eventually, I even went on to clear the civil services का mains examination twice. Right? ये मेरे स्कोर कार्ड्स है. ठीक है जी. Point is, we believe that we decide things in our head. We use our brain to decide, make decisions. Decisions are made in your heart. अगर तुमने सोच लिया हो जाएगा तो ये डेफिनेटली हो जाएगा. नहीं, फोड़ने वाली बात ही नहीं है. तुम्हारे सामने बैठो, साथ बात कर रहे हैं तो सही है, जो चल रहा है सही है. Enjoy the process. Don't be afraid of failure. That's about it. After that, everything will happen. So someone, I think Aryaman asked me 75% IIM होगा, बिल्कुल होगा यार. जो आपके हाथ में, आप उस पर वर्क करो. जो जा चुका है वो जा चुका है, इसका कुछ नहीं कर सकते. एंड यू थिंक ऑफ एनी सॉर्ट ऑफ अ प्रोफाइल. आई विल share an example with you of a student who's made it to a good IIM, right? I made 2 attempts, Rishi. In the first time, I could not convert an IIM. I had 5 calls, so I took CAT again, right? So that was it. So I passed out in 2011, and since then I went into civil services, during which I started teaching, and I enjoyed what I was doing. So after that, since 2016, I have started writing CAT just to ensure I know what I'm talking about. I have 399.99 percentiles, 300 percentiles, so that is how it is right now. Okay. So again, CAT is critical because your final selection depends on your profile score, your CAT score, your PI score. PI will happen only when you get a call for that. CAT हम अपनी मर्जी से भर सकते हैं. Fees दोगे, CAT भर दोगे. So in all of this, the one thing that is in your hand is your CAT score. अगर ना हो तो ड्रॉप देना चाहिए. आदर्श मैंने एमडीआई 1 साल अटेंड किया था, फिर दोबारा कैट लिखा था, फिर आईएमए गया था. सो एज मास्टर शिफुनी उगवे सेड, यस्टरडेज हिस्ट्री, जो प्रोफाइल थी वो हो चुकी है. पीआई अपने हाथ में अभी नहीं है, अपने हाथ में है कैट, राइट? So if you do well in CAT, there are colleges which have high weightage, irrespective of the profile that you have. You can make it to a good college, right? That is not a problem, Swarnil. It will not be an issue. So this is a breakup of the last few CAT results. So these are the percentiles and the scores section wise and overall. I have deliberately not used CAT 2022 because 2022 the scores were lower than what overall CAT scores have been. इसलिए मैंने उसे deliberately हटाया हुआ है. If you are setting a goal, it should be higher than what 2022 was. Therefore, it is not in this list. But if you look at it, you will realize scores tend to be very stable. For a 90 percentile, overall, you're looking at about 33%. For a 99 percentile, you're looking at about a 50%. Secondly, if you look at it, you will see for every percentile, the LRDI scores are typically the least, and the English and the math scores are typically the highest. So when you talk about preparation, these are the 2 areas that you should start focusing on. If you start focusing on English and maths, and then eventually get into LRDI, the chances of you getting an overall high percentile will be higher. Right? That is the structure of this examination. I'll talk about this more in detail in the upcoming demo classes. So now here's CAT score less than in paper comes stuff. Whenever the paper is tough, it will always happen. वो तो हर बार का ही सीन है. Mehak, there are again, it does not matter whether you are a CA fail or not, well, intermediate fail or not. It does not really matter. As long as you are a graduate, you can appear for CAT, and then it is how you do well. How well you do in CAT determines where you go. Apurva, I have 2 backlogs, not a problem. What are the important skills that you need to develop to do well in CAT? देखो, बाकी सारी कहानी एक तरफ. Concept or core बहुत strong होना जरूरी है. So when I talk of English, the number 1 ability that you need is that you should be able to read with full concentration for 60 minutes. I can assure you, you have faced this problem. पढ़ते पढ़ते लगता है यार भूल गए क्या पता नहीं, and you start reading the line again, right? So basically that means you're not reading with full concentration. Yes. Final year students can sit in CAT. I'll talk about that as well. Rishi, just 2 minutes दे दे मेरे को. Yeah. So if you can read with full concentration and have good hold on grammar, then there is a very good chance you will have to leave some portions. We'll talk about it more in the demo class probably. Yeah. So in terms of VARC, a good reading habit where you can sit down for 60 minutes, read with full concentration, topics from different areas, a good hold on grammar because that will ensure that you do well in the verbal section. Vocab, if possible, but definitely contextual vocab. If these are the 3 things that you have in place, VARC is a section that you will do well in, right? Now, as a student, when I was appearing for CAT, VARC used to be my Achilles heel for the simple reason I was an engineer from Haryana. English का बहुत बड़ा issue था, right? So my challenge always was कि English की cut off clear हो जाए, I will manage an overall good score. But since MBA happened and then civil service preparation happened, in the last 6-7 years, my average score has been highest for verbal. Why? Because my reading has increased exponentially. So when you talk of VARC, focus on reading. How much time is important, when to start, I'll come to that. Just give me some time. As far as LRDA is concerned, this is a section where a lot of students have a lot of problems with, even till the end. Here, the idea is to understand what you are capable of. If you know which questions you can attempt, you will not struggle. What happens in these section is, students start with a question and then they realize हो नहीं रहा वो छोड़ देते हैं, time waste हो जाता है, pressure की वजह से फिर आगे नहीं कर पाते. So as long as you know what your strengths are, as long as you know what kind of questions you'll be able to do, and you know when to leave a question, this is a section where you will be able to do decently well. The core for this section will be practice. Start with the basic sets, that is most important, and then ramp it up towards the mock once you start writing the mocks. For maths, the most important skill is to understand that 3 plus 5 is equal to 4 plus 4 is equal to 6 plus 2. You have to be comfortable with numbers. A lot of questions can be attempted in multiple ways. If you're comfortable with numbers, you will manage the section overall, right? Concepts are important. And for any student who's preparing for maths, overall arithmetic with numbers or arithmetic with algebra, even if you're able to cover these two parts in depth, you will be able to attempt almost 50-60% of the paper, right? But when you say I've done this, हाँ मुकेश कर ले लेना. अगर आप ये जब आप बोल रहे हैं डन अ टॉपिक, इट हैज टू बी इन डेप्थ. ये नहीं हो सकता कि उस टॉपिक में भी मुझे ये सब नहीं आता, राइट? So basic comfort with numbers and a good grip on arithmetic as the base, and around that you could have algebra or numbers or geometry. Even that will ensure that you are able to attempt 50-60% of the paper comfortably, right? अभी जो aptitude में बार बार बोल रहा हूँ, या फिर when I say concept, what does this mean? With a few questions, I'll just try to show you what I'm trying to say. See, because these are MCQ questions mostly, there are options that you can work with. If you are comfortable with numbers, you'll be able to do that. When I say concept, a lot of us tend to start thinking of shortcuts, but that is not concept. For example, if I ask you, what is the formula for compound interest? What is the formula for compound interest? Yes, Kamlendu, it is important to spend time with the question rather than doing a lot of questions. Very true. But again, this happens during the preparation phase. Anyways, what is the formula for compound interest? Some of you might remember it, some of you might have forgotten it, right? Now, remembering that formula is not a concept. Concept is how does compound interest work. Compound interest works because you get interest on interest. So the principal will increase by R% every year. It is a basic percentage calculation. When I say average, PRT upon 100 is simple interval. When I say average, what is the meaning of average? Sum of observation upon number of observations is the formula. What is the concept of average? If you know the concept, you'll be able to manage questions in multiple ways, right? For example, कुछ basic से questions से शुरू कर रहा हूँ. A can build a wall in 20 days, B can do the same in 30 days, and how many days will A and B build the wall together, right? Now, anyone who is okay with maths will say, "एक बहुत basic question है, कर लेगा, बिल्कुल ठीक है." But for some of us, our thoughts would be, यार ये किया था पर याद नहीं आ रहा है. नहीं, not 15. Some of you will say, if the wall has been built, why is B doing it again, right? And then some of you will realize that 1/20 plus 1/30 को add कर दो, आंसर आ जाएगा. मैं सिर्फ ये बोल रहा हूँ, that is not concept per se. If I look at this question and I say, okay, A is doing a work in 20 days, B is doing it in 30, A and B have to do it together. Can I logically say that the answer cannot be 20? Because A alone does it in 20 days. If A and B do the work together, they will take less than 20 days. एक option खत्म हो गया, ठीक है? अब देखो, if B was doing the work alone, absolutely, two people like B will do the work in half their days. B does it in 30 days. Two people like B would do it in 15 days. But I have to find the time for A and B. So 15 cannot be the answer. A was taking 20 days. Two people like A will take 10 days. I have to find the answer for A and B. 10 cannot be the answer, and therefore the answer is 12. कोई फॉर्मूला याद नहीं करना पड़ता है, कोई मेथड याद नहीं करना पड़ता. If you're comfortable with the concept, if you're comfortable with numbers, a lot of questions can be solved. Right? Good, Subit. Again, look at this question. This question also was there in some examination, I don't remember. But a very interesting take on how to prepare and how to actually take the paper. So the question says, two natural numbers are in the ratio 11:14. If both of them increased by 20, then the ratio becomes 5:6. What is the difference between the two numbers? Any answers for this? Ji. Dekho, when you are preparing, obviously you'll start by saying, okay, the numbers will be 14x, 11x, increase by 20, so plus 20 divide is equal to 5/6. But again, when you understand what you're preparing for, you will realize कि ये सब तो करना ही नहीं है. हमसे पूछा है difference between the two numbers. The numbers are 14x and 11x, so the difference will be 3x. Now just look at the options. 5 cannot be in the form 3x because the answer has to be a multiple of 3. 5 is not a multiple of 3, 20 is not a multiple of 3, 10 is not a multiple of 3. The only multiple of 3 is 15. This has to be the answer. Question khatam. Right? We are in this habit of, when we talk of math, when we talk of English, we are in this habit of linear thinking. Right steps get marks, right steps get marks. In this examination, that has to change. It has to be very organic, it has to be very natural. Right? और देखो इसका बहुत सिंपल सा तुम्हें एक एग्जांपल बताता हूँ. अभी think of a friend जिसका तुम्हारे पास मोबाइल नंबर भी है और ईमेल एड्रेस भी है. Right? If I ask you to time yourself, so basically you take out your phone and send that friend a hello on WhatsApp. Just note your time. Keep your phone inside. Again, take out your phone and send that friend a mail saying hello, which will take more time. WhatsApp तो यार muscle memory से हो जाता है, नहीं? Mail पे time लगता है because we do not remember where the composed thing. We don't use it that much. That is aptitude. Aptitude is never a knowledge examination. It is a skill examination. जब drive करते हो तो पता होता है ना कि यार कैसे लग रहा है, because it is muscle memory. With practice, a lot of things become muscle memory. अगर सिर्फ प्रैक्टिस करना, अभी मैं कॉन्सेप्ट बिल्ड करवा भी नहीं रहा, कॉन्सेप्ट तो बाद में बिल्ड करूंगा, मैं सिर्फ ये बता रहा हूँ जो आपने प्रिपेयर किया है, कंटेंट वही है, उसका एप्लीकेशन हैज टू चेंज decently, right? And that is what we prepare for. Same goes for typings, but absolutely. One last question ek dikha raha hu. Now this is a question that was asked in the IPMAT exam, which I am Indore conducts in 2019, right? The smallest integer x for which the inequality x minus 7 upon x square plus 5x minus 36 is greater than 0 is given by. Now, imagine this question in your examination. Would you attempt this question? Would you attempt this question? अब अगर वही linear thought रहेगा ना, तो आप बोलोगे नहीं यार, ना मेरे को quadratic आता है, ना मेरे को inequality आती है, कैसे करूं? But from a question point of view, this is the easiest, or it is one question that you should always attempt. क्यों? The options are written here. All you have to do is put the value and check. Right? Start from -12, go to -9, go to -8. If you are practicing decently well, with a decent calculation speed, you will be able to do this in maybe 2.5 minutes. कहाँ से question बुरा है? Right? But that approach has to change. It has to be the exam approach, and that is, I think, what a lot of students lack. You will come across students who will say, मैंने English पूरी करी हुई थी, मैंने maths का पूरा syllabus किया था, पर exam नहीं हो पाया. क्यों? अरे सेकंड स्टेप आपने लिया ही नहीं, आप एग्जाम के लिए तैयार हुए ही नहीं. कंटेंट वाला एग्जाम तो है नहीं है, वो तो हम बोर्ड्स में देकर आ चुके हैं, वो हमें आता है. राइट? सो द अप्रोच इज व्हाट विल डिटरमाइन हाउ यू गो अबाउट. अगेन, पॉइंट बीइंग, डू यू थिंक इट इज डिफिकल्ट और इज इट सिंपल? डू यू थिंक इट इज डिफिकल्ट और इज इट सिंपल? कैट यार मेरा हो गया था, तो सिंपल है. ओनली थिंग इज समटाइम्स डायरेक्शन, समटाइम्स the right strategy for you might be different, and I think that is where people like us come into picture. Together, I am very sure it is not very difficult, right? Again, since you are here, there are two things that I will want to leave you with. एक तो study planning basics से share कर देता हूँ, and towards the end there is some freebies that I have for you. So make sure to sit till the end. बहुत ज़्यादा time अभी लूँगा भी नहीं. As far as study plan is concerned, because there was someone who asked, are 6 months enough? देखो, my plan would always be हम February end करने वाले हैं. Yes, Nitya, I can. If I start naming students who did not have a maths background, they cracked CAT. This session will go on till morning tomorrow. उनको तो मैं जानता हूँ, right? So you can absolutely do it. It's simple, but graduation should be in proper way. नहीं तो हो गया, graduation is done. अब अगर proper way में नहीं है तो CAT छोड़ देंगे क्या? नहीं ना. If you want to, it will happen. एक बहुत basic सा वो समझ लो. We are in February. CAT happens in November. Who writes CAT? Anyone who will be clearing or will be a graduate in June of next year. So if you are someone who will be passing out their graduation in 2024, you can write the CAT in this year. If you are someone who's passed their graduation already or will be passing in 2023, you can write the CAT this year. All right. अभी हम February में second month. CAT happens on the last Sunday of November, which is the 11th month. So there are about 8 to 9 months remaining. Divide your time like this. For the first 4 months, focus on content. This is the time where you'll build concept. This is the time where you'll practice. This is the time where you'll try to go through as many topics as possible. During this, identify your strength, work on your weaknesses. Again, you don't have to know everything, but there have to be some topics that you're really, really good at. The rest, even the basics will suffice, right? So this is the content building phase. Then comes the critical part, which will actually increase your score, which is strategy. The next 4 months, focus on strategy. Try different things. Take multiple mocks. Look at what topics you're not doing well. Go back and revise those topics. So ideally, for someone who's in this seminar today or considering writing CAT, I would say you have about 8 months. Utilize those 8 months. Divide 4 months for content, 4 months for strategy. Again, I'm not saying it is not an overlap. It's not as if 4 महीने के बाद मैं content करूंगा ही. बिल्कुल नहीं यार. But basic जो core content है वो अभी कर लो 4 महीने में, and understand what you're good at. जो whatever you're good at वो complete होना चाहिए. Even if you come to me after 4 months and say मुझे geometry नहीं आती, I will even accept that. वो भी चलेगा, because that is also an important takeaway. मेरे को geometry नहीं आती, so in the exam I'm not going to attempt it. I will not waste time, and therefore I'll probably still be able to do well in the exam, because मुझे पूरा पेपर तो करना ही नहीं है, right? Yes, okay. When do I start? Are 6 months enough? Ideally, I would say, since you are in February, try to start now so that you have enough leeway to make mistakes. Secondly, whether you should write CAT as a fresher or work experience or someone with work experience, देखो, there is no limit on how many CATs you can write. I have written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8 or 9 CATs I have written already, right? So even if you write this year CAT as a fresher and don't take admission, does not really matter. But one thing is very clear: most of your study will happen in college, right? People who started working, the biggest problem that they come across is they are not able to find time to study properly. So if you are in college, start your preparation. You can always take CAT later, but at least your preparation will be done. And I am a good example to tell you, once you are prepared for CAT, वो हर बार स्कोर आता है, उसके बाद उसमें कुछ करना नहीं पड़ता. Should you start in your first, when I say first year, second year, this was ideally for a 3-year student, but should you start in your final year, pre-final year, or a year before that, start when you know that you want to write CAT. Because the more time you have, you might end up being over prepared. That is always better than being under prepared. But in any case, if you're in your pre-final year, that is a very good time to start preparation for CAT, because in your pre-final year you will be able to write CAT, and therefore you will not have that dilemma of whether I should sit for 6 months, drop a year to write CAT again. All of that will be avoided, right? As far as the drop year is concerned, again, there are a lot of students who even after the graduation sit down for 5-6 months and write CAT. So it is not as if you will be an outlier, but again, avoidable in terms of the pressure it creates. But even if you're someone in the final year, you can see a lot of people, because competition is that high, right? How do I plan? अभी जैसे मुकेश ने पूछा, he's written the name of a book and said, is this and mocks, are they sufficient? देखो यार, when we talk of preparation with help, that is coaching per se or test prep, what it does for you definitely is it gives you good direction, it gives you motivation. You will always have someone to share your thoughts with in terms of doubts, in terms of strategy. You will not waste time on things that are not working for you. ठीक है? और ये जो क्वेश्चन है ना, मैंने कोई वो मटेरियल लिया और शुरू कर दिया, मुझे 3 महीने बाद रियलाइज हो ये तो मटेरियल ही अच्छा नहीं था, व्हाट डू आई डू देन? So in that sense you have the direction. When you look at a topic, trying to build that topic on your own might, again, I'm not saying it does not work, but it does take a lot of time. If you have someone who is able to show you those topics in a different manner, it happens a little bit quicker. So I have no misconception of saying that अगर आप कोचिंग नहीं ले रहे हो तो आपका प्रिपरेशन नहीं होगा, है ना? लेकिन अगर आप इफ यू हैव द राइट डायरेक्शन और गाइडेंस, तो मोटिवेट टाइम खराब नहीं होता, प्रिपरेशन एफिशिएंट रहती है. दूसरी बात, व्हेन यू आर इन अ ग्रुप ऑफ पीपल, एंड आई थिंक दैट इज मोर क्रिटिकल फॉर मी, व्हेन यू आर इन दैट ग्रुप ऑफ पीपल हु आर प्रिपेयरिंग, यू आर एबल टू मेंटेन दैट मोटिवेशन, यू आर एबल टू रिमेंबर व्हाई यू स्टार्टेड, यू आर एबल टू नो इन दोस बैड टाइम्स गेट started with it again. While I was preparing for civil services, I realized it was almost a 6 month course. Sure. It was a 6 month course. So on the first day, there were 400 students sitting in my class. By the end of the third month, the number of students attending class was 100. In any exam like this, the problem is never ability. It is motivation. हम लोग शुरू करते हैं एक पॉइंट के बाद छोड़ देते हैं कि यार अब तो हमसे हो नहीं पाएगा, है ना? बिल्कुल. वो कंसिस्टेंसी इंपॉर्टेंट है, वो डिसिप्लिन इंपॉर्टेंट है, वो मोटिवेशन बनाए रखना इंपॉर्टेंट है. दैट इज वेयर कोचिंग और गाइडेंस कम्स इनटू हेल्प. इन एनी केस, व्हेन यू आर प्रिपेयरिंग, मेक श्योर यू हैव अ ग्रुप ऑफ पीपल जिसके साथ कनेक्ट करके प्रिपेयर कर रहे हो. तो वो बहुत क्रिटिकल है. ओके. वेदर, अच्छा, एक और क्वेश्चन, वेदर आई शुड डू वीकडेज और वीकेंड्स. एक बात बहुत क्लियर रखना है, preparation does not stop. Aptitude preparation does not stop. Your practice has to happen daily. You might be attending classes 2 days a week on a weekday or a weekend, but यार अपने हाथ से practice नहीं रुकती है. Your entire class will not get selected. Students who are actually working hard on their own are the ones who will do better in CAT, right? So in terms of when to prepare, you have to prepare every day. Absolutely, right? चलो यहाँ पे पर्सनल चैट चालू हो गई है. ओके, लास्टली एक इशू आता है, देयर आर लॉट ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स हु कम एंड से कि यार हम प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं बट इट इज नॉट गोइंग एनीवेयर. Typically it is because a lot of the effort is not concentrated, it is in all directions. Therefore when you are making a study plan for a week, ठीक है? Do not keep a break in between. For that week, plan for 6 days, and you have a buffer day so that whatever spillage is there, you are able to manage that. In that week, give time to all the 3 sections. It does not have to be all the 3 sections every day. It could very well be 2 days maths, 2 days LRDA, 2 days English, but do not break that rhythm in between. Suppose you start with percentage. ये मत करना है कि 4 क्वेश्चन करके छोड़ दिया, because it will never really build into something, right? How much time per day is required, again, depends on your ability, where you are as a student. But in any case, a concentrated effort of 2-3 hours over a period of 6-7 months is more than sufficient to crack CAT, right? The idea is to build habit. Source, again, जो समझ आ जाए वो कर लो. There is no point picking up a source जो तुमसे related नहीं है. Lot of the content that is talked about is static content. When I say refer a book, how will that book be good enough for someone who's good at maths, for someone who's bad at maths, for someone who's an engineering background, for someone who has a science non-science background? How will that one same book work for everyone? That does not happen. So pick up sources which is closer to who you are, and then work accordingly. एक फेमस बुक का LOD 3 लगा के सबका कैट क्लियर नहीं होता. देयर आर स्टूडेंट्स जिनको लगाते भी नहीं है पर फिर भी हो जाता है. टेल यू वन वेरी गुड एग्जांपल. So this was CAT 2021. I had a student. He scored a 99 point something percentile. His score was about 109. His score in LRD and maths combined was 42 marks. He scored 66 marks, 62 or 63 marks in English out of 66 or 67, whatever the highest was. He got 100 percentile in English, and therefore overall he was able to get a 99 plus score, made it to FMS. Right now his first year is over and he's got his summer placements done. So again, understand who you are, and therefore your content has to be like that. So at Expert Search, that is something that we take a lot of pride in. Our material is driven by AI, and therefore once you start, you will get inputs basis your need. Once you start using the app, you'll realize, okay, since I'm not good at it, you will find easier questions. The section that you're good at, you'll find more difficult questions. So ideally, that is the kind of uh, uh, content that you should be using. In any case, the core for doing well in CAT is practice. So whatever you do, make sure you're doing revising it again and again and again, whether it is maths, whether it is English. All right. Also, नहीं यार, देखो, VARC में बिल्कुल सब कुछ करना पड़ता है. ग्रामर अगर अच्छी है ना तो काफी सारी चीजें हो जाती है. और रीडिंग में ना एक चीज जो लोग इग्नोर करते हैं इज एकेडमिक रीडिंग. Reading is okay, but it has to be reading that creates something in your head. कहने का मतलब है, if you have a commerce background and I give you an article on, say, monetary policy, there are a lot of ideas that will spring in your mind, and therefore your comprehension is better. But अगर मैं philosophy पकड़ा दूंगा, गोल हो जाओगे. तो जब आप रीडिंग कर रहे हो ना, थोड़ी academic रीडिंग भी करो. Open the Wikipedia page and sit down and see हुआ क्या था. What is the basic concept all about? That will help a lot. Also, since we are 8 months, CAT still has 8 months to go. Please start working on your profile score as well. It does help a lot during your selection and after your selection, your summer placements as well in MBA, right? The idea has to be to create diversity. Therefore, be proactive. If you're able to get internships, positions of responsibilities, participation in competitions, these are 3 or 4 areas, or certifications for that matter. These are 4 areas that will give you good marks in interviews, and eventually when you sit for summer placements in your MBA, this they will help you build a good CV for yourself, right? So yeah, all in all, CAT is a simple examination. It is the competition which makes it tough, right? And I'm sorry, what you're preparing for is the ability to handle pressure. If these things are in place, you would probably do well. For example, last year, Gujarat Titans won the IPL. It had a new captain. It was a new franchise. Initially, the team also looked very basic, but they went on to win the IPL for the simple reason they handled pressure better. In the crunch situations, they came on top, and therefore they were the winners, right? So get used to that through your practice, through your mocks, through your material. Get used to that pressure. Get into the habit of doing aptitude well. Prepare for all eventualities, and that should ensure that you do well in CAT. Focus is important. Identify problem, and again, this entire thing has to be your own story. For every student, the path that they take, the process that they follow are different. You cannot have one solution for everyone, and therefore start your preparation, identify problems, seek solutions, implement them, and just keep repeating the process. Whether you can do it or not, again, as Mr. Dr. Mashpru said, to believe something is to make something special, you just have to believe. If you think you can, there is a very good chance you will, right? So just a couple of minutes from me, and then we can open the house for questions. हाँ हाँ कर ले बेटा, कर ले, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. There are some freebies that we have for you as for attending the seminar. The first thing is, number one, for all the students who have attended the seminar, we'll be sharing with you a psychometric test. This psychometric test will help you understand how suited you are, or what should be your way forward as far as CAT is concerned. So basically, it has 5 areas. It's a 1.5-hour test, a scientific test, which will help you personally quite a lot. So make sure you take out the time and do it properly. It helps you understand your personality, your interests, your attention to detail, your writing skills, and your cognitive ability. कुछ करने जाते तो हाथ दिखाते हो ना, वो stars पढ़ते हैं ना अपने. So in a way, this is our management astrologer. It will tell you what thing, how suited you are for this route, and if there is a need, what you have to work in. You get the report in minutes. It's a free B that we are offering. All the students who are attending this webinar, do go through it. This could be a point of discussion that we can take on one-on-one. Apart from that, we are also having a couple of demo classes for students who would want to look for an online and offline program. We have the online program as well. Offline, we are doing it in Delhi right now. Yes, Mukesh. So yeah, Mukesh, we are also offering the online program, for which we have a couple of demo classes planned tomorrow and the day after. The classes will be 7 to 9. Registration are first come first serve basis. Why first come first serve? Because we believe in having the smaller batch size. which ensures there is more discussion that happens, right? If you keep looking in your chat box, you will see there are other links as well that are being shared, which are links to your free course. Yes, Neetu, absolutely. You can attend the online session as well. For Pune students, we'll also be having a session later in this month for our offline batch that will be starting. But I'll definitely recommend that you come down to Pune, come down to a center and sit down with the faculty. This is the faculty team that we have, right? So there's me, there's Tarana ma'am, there's Nitin sir, there's Arthaya sir. And if you are in Pune, guys, definitely come down to the center. It's always wonderful to have students around and have a chit chat with them. But in any case, we'll also be looking at an offline event in Pune in the coming weeks, maybe around the 20th, 21st. We'll share the yes, you can use you can Apurva, just come down to the center. Rishi, I will do that. We'll share the link in WhatsApp for the test and the demo as well. That will happen. So yeah, this is what I had to share. If there are any questions, I'll try to answer. Yeah, any questions that you might have. Address of the center. If you can just put it in the chat box, guys. Maybe WhatsApp bhi kara dunga main. I'll share the address of the center with you. Okay, एक second. Working in government sector is never a disadvantage. As a matter of fact, I can, top of the mind, think of a couple of students who were bank POs or had similar profiles and they cracked good colleges. So as long as you have good work experience, it is never a problem. So Gaurav, since you already have that kind of experience, I think cracking CAT for you will not be very difficult. Certainly something that you should go for. Rishi, maybe we can meet up someday or just maybe after the demo class, we can also look at one-to-one sessions. That can always happen, right? Sonu, we do not have a center in Noida as of now, but we're offering the online batch for students who are not in Pune. Hopefully in a few months, we'll be in and around you as well, right? Quite tension, Rishi, we can have an online session. That is never a problem, right? Okay, Apur. Okay, Apur. Great. मैं बात करा लूंगा. I'll get a call arranged for you. Yes. So what I will do is on your WhatsApp numbers, because you've registered, I will share the link of the demo. I'll share the link of the test, the psychometric test, the location for the centers, and number 4, brochures for the online session. I'll do that. So over the next maybe 5 to 6 hours, that should happen. All right. Great. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, do feel free to get in touch. It is, again, as I said, always wonderful to talk to students. That is what we are here for. At the end of it all, we are all teachers. So yeah, thank you very much. And I hope I've been able to help you in some way or the other. Right? Bye-bye. Take care. दर्शन एक बार डेमो अटेंड कर ले, उसमें बात करते हैं आराम से. ठीक है? You can start with reading newspapers also, the best, easiest thing to do. But again, I'll share with you a list in the demo session as well. All right? Chal. Bye-bye. Take care.